Hey YouTube, this is Steve from Average Joe's Fantasy Football, and week 12 of the NFL season is here, and hopefully you guys came out victorious from week 11, and now we are talking players you should consider picking up this week, so let's jump right into it. All right, so week 12 of the NFL season is here. With that said, there are 4 teams on a bye. You've got the Broncos, the Chargers, the Dolphins, and the Commanders. So a significant amount of teams that are on a bye right before Thanksgiving week, because that week there are going to be a lot of great games. Now, of course, there's a Thursday night game, no early morning game, but there's a huge slate of games on Sunday. So hopefully you guys are prepared. Now, with that said, a lot of injuries unfortunately happened, and a big suspension happened over week 11, which means you've got to kind of figure out who you need to pick up and backfill not only bye weeks, but some of those injuries that may have occurred. Now, the first position we're going to talk about is the quarterback position. Now, at the quarterback position, the first player I want to mention is Jacoby Brissett. Look, I've mentioned him before. I want to mention him again. I know he's not obviously a big name, but he is essentially the starting quarterback right now until Kyler Murray is back, if they end up playing Murray when he does come back, depending on where this team's record is. Now, in the last 4 weeks, Jacoby Meyer has been quarterback 7 in fantasy. And at the end of the day, all that matters is what they're doing in fantasy. And right now, Jacoby Brissett has been amazing. He's been putting up a consistent amount of points. He's got 66 points in the last 4 games, which has been great. He's been playing pretty clean for the most part. He's going against the Jaguars this week, who have played pretty well defensively, but Brissett is available in 66% of leagues. So if you're trying to fill a Bo Nix or Justin Herbert or something like that, or maybe you had Michael Penix as your only quarterback who did get hurt, this is a good option to pick up. Another quarterback is Brock Purdy, who did come back from injury. Great game out of Brock Purdy. Obviously, he kind of clicked right away, especially with George Kittle, but he played really, really well. He's available in 34% of leagues, going against the Panthers this week, who obviously came back out of nowhere to win that game in overtime, but the Panthers defense has not been great. Brock Purdy has played really, really well when he has been able to play. And being that he's back, this is a great opportunity to pick him up, especially to kind of help you out during the playoffs. Because when you're looking at his playoff schedule, and we're talking, again, the schedule is kind of a mix. What I will say in the schedule as far as possible players he's going to have, and I don't know how much he's going to have available. But with that said, I looked at his upcoming plays. And when you looked at what he did in week 11, coming back, he was actually quarterback 4 with 25 fantasy points, 200 passing yards, 3 touchdowns. His schedule's pretty good, right? He's got the Panthers, he's got a tough game against the Browns, he's got a bye week in week 14, but then week 15, 16, and 17, Titans, Colts, Bears. Not great defenses that he can have some success. So I really like Brock Purdy a lot there. Now, jumping into the running back position, Sean Tucker, let's talk about it. Sean Tucker was amazing. Now, most of you did not play him, and I get it. And the reason I say that is because he's available in quite a bit of leagues. He's available in 73% of leagues. Sean Tucker came in to kind of play the backup role with Rachaad White, and he just absolutely took over. Rachaad White just got pushed to the side because Sean Tucker's ability to make big plays. I mean, he had over 100 rushing yards, 2 touchdowns on the ground, 1 touchdown in the air. I mean, he played phenomenally. Now, we're not sure what's going to happen with Bucky Irving. We don't know when he's coming back. So with that said, there is still some hesitation. Obviously, Sean Tucker's not going to be your starter. But if, say, it's Rachaad White still and Sean Tucker might be a nice RB2 or flex just in case he ends up having a really good game. Now, he is playing against the Rams, which is kind of a tough matchup. The Rams have been the best against the run, so it's a little bit of hesitant there. But got a great slate of playoff games coming forward. So, again, Sean Tucker's been a really, amazing. If you had him in your lineup, you absolutely probably won in week 11. Another running back I like is going to be Kenneth Gainwell. Now, Gainwell had a really good game. He kind of took over when it came to the receiving aspect. He had 7 receptions. He did have 2 touchdowns in the air. That's not something you're going to see every single week. So with hesitation, Kenneth Gainwell is a nice handcuff to Jaylen Warren. He's not going to be somebody you're going to put in your lineup every single week, but you should grab him if you've got Jaylen Warren. At this point, when it comes to where we are in the fantasy space, you want to have your handcuffed players with your starting backs just in case something happens. And with that said, you don't want to roster just players. Like if you don't have Jaylen Warren, I wouldn't necessarily say you've got to get Kenneth Gainwell, but he is definitely worth stashing if you can, especially if you're in deeper leagues, because there are going to be games where maybe they're playing behind. Look at what's going to happen. Aaron Rodgers may be hurt and out for some time. He hurt his left wrist. We're not really sure what's going to happen. They got the Bears who can score points. You got the Bills who can score points. The Ravens who can score points. So they've got some games where Kenneth Gainwell might have some value in the passing game because they might be playing from behind. So we'll see what the Steelers end up doing. And again, what happens to Aaron Rodgers, but he's definitely worth a stash. And then probably the number one player, especially if you're talking fab, you should be spending all your money on is Emmanuel Wilson for the Green Bay Packers. Right now, obviously, he didn't come out of the game like as a stud, but he did get all of the opportunities after Josh Jacobs went down. He finished with over 13 fantasy points. He had a touchdown on the ground. He had 11 carries. And so with that said, at this point, Josh Jacobs will at least miss this week, maybe week 13, and we'll see about week 14 and beyond. So at least 2 weeks, you've got Emmanuel Wilson as a starting running back for the Green Bay Packers who absolutely want to use him. So he is your number one player when it comes to pickups right now. He is available in 91% of leagues. So he is out there. He should be the one on your number one waiver. He should be what you spend most of your fab at this point of the season. He is the one you want to grab. Now, jumping into the wide receiver position, I've got Michael Wilson for the Arizona Cardinals. What a great game. He finishes the wide receiver one in fantasy after what he was able to accomplish. He had 15 receptions, 85 receiving yards, which was phenomenal. Now, we're not sure how much longer Marvin Harrison is going to be out. He did obviously miss this past week. He's most likely going to be back this week. With that said, though, Michael Wilson established himself as a nice little wide receiver, especially opposite of Marvin Harrison. He still has seen decent amount of targets, not consistent enough. He's been averaging about 5 targets a game. And maybe with that said, Jacoby Brissett's ability to trust maybe Michael Wilson a little bit more will help. They're going against the Jaguars who do allow a decent amount of yards to wide receivers. So maybe both Marvin Harrison and Michael Wilson can share that capability. But man, what a game for Michael Wilson to come out of and really show people that he can be a top receiver. He has the ability to be a solid wide receiver too in this league, especially helping out Marvin Harrison Jr. But I absolutely love him as a nice little pickup. Now, next player is going to be Alec Pierce versus the Chiefs this week. He's available in 51% of leagues. The reason why I want to mention him is I know he's not playing. He didn't play last week, but coming off the bye, Alec Pierce has been great. You know, if you're looking at the last, 4 or 5 weeks, he's put up a decent amount of fantasy points. He's got a great connection with Daniel Jones. I mean, right now, in the last 5 weeks, obviously he didn't play last week. He's been wide receiver 21, so he's a solid wide receiver too. And you look at the amount of points. I mean, week 7, 14 points. Week 8 was 9 points. And then week 9, 17 points. Week 10, 18 points. So again, he's been seeing a lot of targets his way. And now he's going against, as far as the matchup goes, they're going against the Chiefs, who obviously are fighting for their playoff life right now. And so they're going to obviously try to come out swinging. I do think the Colts obviously want to have to pass. They're going to use, obviously, Jonathan Taylor like crazy. But again, Alec Pierce is available in 51% of leagues. He's a great little wide receiver 2 or flex. You should absolutely pick him up. And then the next receiver is going to be Andre Yoshivas. Yoshivas obviously is... He's more of a player because of what happened with Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase is going to be suspended in week 12 after his spitting incident on Jalen Ramsey. Why he did that, don't know. Completely disrespectful. He definitely deserves the suspension. And that's coming from a Jamar Chase owner. At the end of the day, you can't do that in the game. And he absolutely deserved that right hook from Jalen Ramsey. With that said, though, Yoshivas could see some type of increase in targets and obviously playing ability opposite of T. Higgins. Now, T. Higgins obviously becomes the guy right away for the Bengals. They're going against the Patriots. Tough matchup, especially since T. Higgins is going to be opposite of Christian Gonzalez, who has been a fantastic corner this season, and he's been great. So that's going to be tough. So Yoshivas may actually end up being the guy who gets some of those extra targets and have the ability to have some success. We'll see how it plays out, but he's available in 99% of leagues. I would say deeper leagues, I would say Yoshivas is definitely worth a grab, but you may want to consider that. And then now the next player is kind of a stretch too, Darnell Mooney for the Falcons. Drake London is going to be out. Very similar injury to Josh Jacobs. He's out at least a week or two, maybe more. We'll see how it plays out. Losing Drake London was huge. Losing Michael Penix is huge. That whole Falcons offense just took a huge hit. Obviously steps in Kirk Cousins. Now Darnell Mooney becomes the wide receiver 1, and he has not played well at all. And which is kind of disappointing because Darnell Mooney is a good receiver. I'm not sure what's going on between him and Penix or him in general this season, but if you look at last season for Darnell Mooney, and you're talking a guy who had a great connection with Kirk Cousins, who showed up really well last season, maybe this is the perfect scenario. Kirk Cousins now comes in with Michael Penix out for the season. Now you got Darnell Mooney as the wide receiver 1. There is an opportunity for him to have some success. He's available in a huge amount of leagues. Yeah, the matchup isn't perfect. You know, you're going against a Saints team that I'm not sure how they're going to play, right? Saints aren't good, but I'm not sure how they're going to play because right now the Falcons are playing well. So, but I do like Darnell Mooney as a possibility as far as being picked up. Now, jumping into the tight end position, I got Juwan Johnson versus the Falcons. I've mentioned him before. Again, he should be mentioned almost every single time until he's picked up even more. Right now, Juwan's tight end 8 going into this week. And yeah, he's still available in 53% of leagues. Not sure why he's still available. Not sure why people aren't picking him up. I don't understand this idea of maybe it's just the name, right? You've got players that are still being picked up higher. K. Otten. You had Dallas Goedert, Hunter Henry. Like, you got some big names that are being rostered, and yet they're not performing anywhere near. And if you really look for the season as far as how tight ends have been playing, Juwan Johnson's number 7. I don't get it. Like, he has been outperforming a lot of these big names. Dalton Kincaid, right? Kyle Pitts. David Njoku, like players that are being held onto rosters, and yet Juwan Johnson is in top 10. So again, if you need a tight end, this is the guy you need to pick up. And the next tight end I'm going to mention is Dalton Schultz. He's tight end 9 going into the season. He's been fantastic as well. He's a great option. He's got a shoulder injury he's been dealing with, but he's been playing through it. And again, options are there. He is available in 51% of leagues. Like, both these tight ends I'm mentioning are available in half the leagues that are out there, and yet people are just like, Like, look at the numbers. The numbers say these tight ends have been performing even bigger than some of these other guys. And you got Sam Laporta, for example, out for some time, right? You got to replace him. Dalton Kincaid's been out for some time, right? We'll see if he plays. Like, there have been big name tight ends that are out. These are the guys you need to pick up. Now, jumping to the kicker position, I've got Tyler Loop for the Ravens going against the Jets. He's been playing fantastic the last few weeks. And realistically, as far as the kicker goes, being that Lamar's back, Tyler Loop's benefits from that because, again, they're getting down the field, they're getting opportunities, they're getting extra points, they're getting field goal opportunities. This is a really good move for Tyler Loop. He should be absolutely picked up. He's available in about 51% of leagues. 33% of leagues. Jason Myers, available in 35% of leagues. Jason Myers is the number 1 kicker the last 3 weeks. He's been amazing for the Seahawks. He's been he just put up a monster game last week. Again, a tight end that you should be considered every single week. And if you look at both tight ends for the season so far, how they're coming into it. Now, again, Tyler Loop has been slowly getting better as far as being more relevant. But Tyler Loop has been kicker 9 for the season. And then Jason Myers is kicker number 1 for the season. And yet he's still available in over 30% of leagues. So, again, grab those kickers if you can this week. Now, jumping into the defensive special teams, I've got Browns versus the Raiders. Raiders obviously are not great. They just gave up a lot of points to the Cowboys last night. And they weren't really getting enough offense to have any type of meaning. And the Browns have been really, really good this season. So again, you want to try to grab the Browns if you can. Browns have been defensive team number 7 for the season so far. And if you look at their trends the last 3 weeks, again, a really solid team that has been playing really well as a whole because they are a good defense, has been number 10. So again, you should be picking them up against the matchup. And then Jaguars versus the Cardinals. Crazy as it sounds, the Jaguars have been defensive special teams number 5 the last 3 weeks. They've been playing really, really well as a unit. They're coming off some double-digit performances in points. They're available in 79% of leagues. And then when you look at for them as a season whole, again, we're looking at a team that is in the top 10 as far as special teams defense. But again, because they're the Jaguars, people are just like, they're not that great. They've been playing really, really well. They've been creating turnovers. They've been getting sacks, opportunities. So again, those are 2 teams you should consider grabbing. So those are my week 12 waiver wire pickups you should get into your lineups this week. If you guys have any questions, hit me up in the comments down below. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Make sure you guys like it as well. It is greatly appreciated. And I'll see you guys next time.